Hello and welcome to Gaia GPS. This is where we come and pull the cards for the Astro week ahead. I am Mimi. I'm here with Nicole Oman.
Hello.
And we are diving into a week of shift. We have 2 planets going retrograde this week. But we're going to kick it off with the moon shifting into Leo. So the moon is shifting into Leo Tuesday afternoon. Leo bringing forth the energy of creativity, bringing forth the energy of the inner child and play and joy. And speaking of play, I definitely have that card. I have the card playfulness. So this is important. This is imperative for this time. Along with playfulness, I've got transformation and I've got abundance. And so my feeling with this, I should pull up this one too, because this, I think, goes hand in hand with the transformation card. I've got Freya, endings and beginnings. And so there's so much astrological stuff going on. We have Venus retrograde, we have Jupiter retrograde, we have Saturn going retrograde this week, we have Mercury preparing to go retrograde, we even have Pluto going retrograde later this month. So we have a lot of this inward process, and that inward process to me is ultimately about transformation. But this moon in Leo is like, you don't have to take it so seriously. I love this card along with the playfulness card. This is the card Zorba the Buddha. And so Osho's take on Zorba the Buddha, which is like the King of Pentacles, this is where you really get into like your foundational energy, is having a good spiritual life and then having a good physical life. So the physical life is, Osho actually describes it as being a little bit hedonistic, like Zorba the Greek, really getting, I don't want to say overindulgent, but like getting indulgent, enjoying your physical process, having fun on this earth. We came to have fun. We did not just come here to like chip away the stone and work. We did come to have fun. So getting into that and then finding that balance by also connecting into your spirit, connecting into your soul. That's going to help us through this transformation process, through these phases and cycles. I have Freya right here, which is, beginnings and endings, which are coming up through these retrogrades, through these processes that we're going to be going through. So try to keep an open mind, try to keep that playful spirit to help you move in and through these processes. The other card I had, I felt called to, it's funny because Nikki and I were totally talking about this beforehand. I felt called to pull the archetype cards because we are in Aries, and Aries is the sign of I am. So getting into our archetypal energy. Mm-hmm. So I have Thief, which is funny in light of what we were talking about. The light attribute sheds light on potential wealth within you that can never be stolen. That which can never be stolen is your truth, is your inner spirit, is that playfulness. So, I think part of the playfulness is we do try on people's personas as hats. We try on other people's looks. We try on other people's wisdom. But, recognize the thief vibration. Shadow attributes, stealing money, creative ideas, affection, or other powers you think you lack. You lack nothing. Everything you need is seated within you. And a lot of times getting into your playfulness will help you get there. So just notice this energy. Nobody can steal your joy unless you let them. But also notice if you're pretending a little bit, and the universe is like, find your own playfulness, find your own joy in and through this energy. This will help you get into your power. Look at this transformation card. Look at the power that's available to it. It's going to help you get into your king or queen energy right here with this abundance card, the King of Pentacles. It'll help settle you into your personal earthly process and into your personal I am vibration. Nicole?
Yeah, it's really interesting. And I want to say this before I start with my cards. And then we're going to go into a lot of this with the cards, because in the past position, I do have the consciousness card. And this is the Ace of Swords. I'm going to go with this. This really feels like this to me, is identity. Jason Born identity. So who are you? And I've been talking a lot about this in my daily guidance, a lot. And I think at this point in time is we have to take ownership of who we are. And this is not, and I said this today in my daily guidance, of this is not who other people want you to be, or you pretending, like Mimi said, to be things that you're not. It's really fun to try on different clothes. It is. It's fun to like go in the mirror and put costume jewelry on. But at the end of the night, when you strip all the makeup off and you take down your hair and you take your clothes off, that is who you are. Stripping down to your core, stripping down to your nakedness. And I don't mean that just physical. And maybe that is true as well, is stripping yourself down to your nakedness, looking at yourself naked, vulnerable, raw. Because at the end of the day, if we don't really look at who we are, the good, the bad, and the ugly, the things that we judge, we're always going to want to avoid ourselves, or we're always going to try to be someone we're not. And when we're somebody we're not, and we're not really anchored into our own convictions, our own ideas, our own experiences, then we are easily manipulated by other people, by society, by the news, by all these different things. And when you're like that, then you're not strong of mind and strong of soul. And that is a dangerous thing. Because then, you know, all the news sites, all entertainment wants to kind of manipulate. I know that I'm going into like drama stuff, but I'm not. But it's easy to get into that reactionary state. It's easy to get manipulated if you don't know who you are. And so this is a really great time. I think it's going to happen for at least another month. I'm thinking till May. That we're going to have to really settle into new identities and new parts of ourselves, and really come into harmony and start to love ourselves from that place. Allow your mind, because the mind wants to talk you out that you're not good enough for who you are, or the experiences that you've been through, or because your mom wanted you to get married at 20 and have babies and you didn't. There was something wrong with you. You know what I mean? And so there's nothing wrong with you, is what this harmony card is saying. That we have to get our heart in alignment with our mind, our soul aligned with our mind, and our identities aligned with our mind, and coming into a self-acceptance with who we really are. And when you begin to honor your own experience, honor the identity of who you really are, is when you actually come into your wisdom. Because wisdom is knowledge plus understanding or experience. When you have knowledge and understanding and experience, that is your wisdom. So whatever path that you've walked, whatever experiences you had, when you integrate those, when you come into harmony with those, and when you accept those, you come into your own wisdom, you come into your own message, and you come into your own skin. And people recognize someone in their skin. Somebody who's really comfortable in their body. And there's the maturity card. Somebody is really comfortable in their maturity, in their, I mean, this goes for aging too, you guys. A lot of people want to, I've talked about this. I don't know if I just talked about it with Mimi, but or it might have came up in one of our readings. But I find that a lot of times women tend to go from maiden. Maiden sounds so great, archetypical, right? And then we go into mother. Okay, we can handle mama. But as soon as we get to crone, maiden, mother, crone, we don't want to go to crone. That sounds like an old hag to me. And so we go back to maiden. And a lot of women are not honoring their wisdom. They're not honoring the beauty of their aging. They're not honoring the beauty of their aging. They're trying to be 20 when they're 50. And there's a youthfulness, there's a playfulness that we can, a childlikeness that we still can embrace, but it's also embracing this maturity. Embracing your maturity is what is coming to that, because if you're not, then you become haggard. If you're holding on to it because you're scared to show other people your maturity, then that's when you become haggard. But there's healing here. There's a lot of healing here. We have to heal the way we go through aging. We have to heal our bodies by accepting them and being in harmony with them. And we have to heal who we are and where we are on the roadmap. Because I also see the younger people trying to be older than they are. And it's like, stay in yours. Like, if you're 20, be 20. If you're 30, be 30. Be like, I'm in mama mode right now. Okay, that's who I am. I'm not going to be going out clubbing. You know, I'm pregnant. That would be really weird. So it's like honoring where you are in your map. Really honoring where you are in your map. Okay.
I love that. But I'm totally imagining you pregnant, like in a tutu and like rainbow socks and like.
I did that right before I got pregnant, by the way, because I went to this Burning Man thing, which was fun, and it got me in touch with my inner child. But I'm not doing that every day. I'm not running from my responsibilities. I'm still a mother, and I'm still, you know, a wife, and I can't go running around hooking up with people because that's the energy there. You know what I mean? It's like you can go visit those places and try on those clothes, but also honor who you are. Honor where you are in the life journey.
Agreed for sure. So that takes us into Saturn retrograde, which is really interesting because okay, so let's get into the details before I get into all the interestingness. Saturn is going retrograde for the final time in Sagittarius. Yay! Although if you are a Sagittarius, or if you are a Capricorn, you definitely may feel this retrograde. Saturn retrogrades for me are like so not fun. I'm not a big fan, but it's probably the hardest retrograde for me because I'm like, can we just have the lessons keep going? Can we just keep going? But no, we have to retrograde. We have to go deeper in, pull into these lessons. So Saturn will be retrograde all the way through almost the end of August. So we've got a lot of like work to move through. Saturn in Sagittarius is helping us shift our beliefs. It's helping us with things like our philosophies, our theologies, religion, and it's taking us deeper into this. And I love what Nikki talked about for a minute in that part, which is our beliefs, you know, and how easy it is to get sucked into these other beliefs outside of us. You hear an authority figure saying, this is what's happening, and suddenly you're like, oh, this is what's happening. And so that's what I really feel like is the kind of theme of my cards. It's really going to be about figuring out who you are, getting embodied in who you are. Here I have this flowering card, getting solid in who you are. And it doesn't mean be rigid in your beliefs. This is not a call for rigidness, but like you don't have to take everything as truth. And I think this Saturn retrograde is a really important thing. We are bombarded by so many. It's not just the president with alternative facts. There are alternative facts in every sector out there. You've got to figure out, find your personal foundation. So this retrograde to me is about this. This is the participation card, and from the Keepers of the Light, I have Commander Ashtar, a call to action. It says, take charge, lead by example, walk your talk. You cannot walk somebody else's talk. You've really got to figure out what is true for you. So this is going to take you in, evaluate the things, feel through them. And again, I like what Nikki said, you know, like wisdom, what was it that you said? It's like embodied, like it's like the knowledge, but the knowledge embodied.
Knowledge plus understanding and experience. So mainly it's knowledge plus experience equals wisdom. So you have to have it here, the knowledge, right? So yeah, reading books and going to college or wherever you learned your knowledge, but then you have to live it. And if knowledge not lived is arrogance. It's intelligence that is, but if you haven't, it's theoretical. If you haven't lived it, it's not wisdom. You could tell somebody to try it, but if you don't know, then you don't know.
Absolutely. So you've got to walk your talk. Gotta walk your talk. Sham said that to Rumi at one point. I love Rumi. I always go back to Rumi. He's like, you must now live what you've been reading about. And so this is what we're really being called to do. Get in there and don't be afraid to like question your beliefs. I ended up here because of all my questions. I grew up Catholic, and I was always like asking, but I don't understand this, and this doesn't make sense, and I drove them crazy. But because Sagittarius, I was like, but if I'm gonna believe something, like I don't want to just believe it because I've been told it. I want to believe it because, yeah, I believe it, because I feel it, because I can live it. You know, that's believe to me. Like, I can live it. So, we've got to embody this energy. We've got to go back in. Now, what I love, oh, let me show you these. So, not getting stuck in other people's wisdom. That's what I really get from the isolation card and the understanding. You can hold understanding, but like, I don't even say other people's wisdom, other people's talk, other people's opinions, other people's stuff, the stuff that you grew up learning, the stuff that your parents said based on their personal conditioning, the stuff that you learned from your teachers in school, these, authority figures, not giving away that energy, being one unto yourself, being true to yourself in and through this energy. And what I love, which I have from the archetypes, is I have artists. And I do think it's the artists of the world who really do figure out who they are, who really do live it. They believe it. And so we have an opportunity to be the artist with your world. Paint your way through these things. Paint your way into your personal harmony. Harmony is within. Here we have the heart and the mind connecting, just like Nikki had in her last thing. This is what being an artist of your life will do. The light attribute of artists, expressing a dimension of life that is just beyond the five senses, inspiring others to see life symbolically. What if all these things that we're experiencing really are just symbols? Symbols helping move us forward. It doesn't have to be taken as like, this is the truth. Just what if? What if you live that way? The shadow attribute, using talent as an excuse to mistreat others, posing as the starving artist to elicit pity. With this, I would take a look too. I believe we all are artists. I believe we all, I believe it. I believe we're all artists. I believe we all have creator energy within us. And to me, this is like the shadow attribute is like getting out of your belief that you're not a creator, getting out of your belief that you, by your interactions, by how you are believing, by what you're believing, by how you're interacting with this world, that you're not part of this creation of all that's happening. You're a part of this. How do you want to live your way as a part of this? And I think that this is part of our retrograding in to shift that in order to help shift the world around us. Hope that made sense.
Yeah, it did. Totally did. The message is really clear to me. I mean, I've been getting it, like I said, I've been getting it in a lot of my dailies, and you getting the same thing. I'm like, yes, this is where we're at right now. And and to be honest with you, I taught the artist way for about 5-7 years. And they talk about something called the shadow artist. And sometimes we hide. We hide behind other people's artistry. We hide because we're scared to show our opinion or our creation. And I have the creativity card. So I'm right on with you, Mimi. But I also see that a lot of people go, I'm not creative, or I'm not an artist. But because you defined it as something. So you might not be a painter. That might not be your talent. You might not be a writer, or you might not be an actor. But what I realized going through a lot of my own artist way journeys and my own journey personally, I realized that my tarot is my art. My life is my art. And in my healing work and my shamanic work is my art. I help people mold themselves into something that they want to mold themselves into. And I don't do it for them, but they're like, when somebody's ripe and juicy, it's so much fun to work with them. It's inspiring. My clients inspire me when they're ready. And so then it makes my work so much more fascinating and so much more beautiful, because when I sit down with a client and a meditation comes to me, I've never done that meditation before, but it flows out like I'm a freaking master, and I've done that meditation 1,000 times. It's because I get to play off the beauty of the soul of that other person that I'm working with. And if you weren't this beautiful creator, if you weren't this beautiful human, I wouldn't have anything to work off of. I wouldn't have anything to be inspired by. I wouldn't have, my work would be dull. And so you have to see, I have the worthiness card, that you are worthy of being a muse. You're worthy of creating your own work. You don't have to define it as I'm a writer or a painter. Find your own artistry. My artistry is my daily guidance. Every day, something new comes out of my mouth, for the most part. Sometimes it's like, oh my God, what's the message for today? I have to do this every day. But find what makes you your own artist. And if it's business, if you're creative in business, freaking amazing. That's your thing. If you're an amazing organizer, then that's your thing. But don't limit it, because you can find creativity no matter what you're doing, and you're worthy of that. You're also worthy of being the inspiration or being the muse. So I have a little bit more here. For the Saturn in retrograde. So the Saturn in retrograde is going to show you where you stop your creativity and you don't trust your own experience, right? So here's your experience hanging out and you want everybody else's experiences, or you're jealous of someone else's experience. Like, their life is so cool. But what you're not doing is seeing how the beauty in your own creative experience, your own artwork, and your artwork is your life. That's what I'm talking about. So you got to find the beauty of your own experiences. And yes, they might not be as glamorous as somebody who like went to LA at 18 and got discovered and blah, blah, blah. So where you are, maybe your mother, like being a mother, like to really embrace that. God, we need more good mothers in the world, right? So it's like embracing your own creativity, embracing where you are, and not compromising yourself. This is where we compromise ourselves. We compromise who we are because maybe we don't think we're as glamorous or as fancy or as worthy or whatever. So look at where you are compromising yourself. That is causing pain and isolation and your own heart betrayal. You're betraying your own heart by compromising yourself, by listening to other people, or by believing that your experience wasn't good enough. That's your own self-betrayal. And we want to maybe believe that other people betrayed us, but we got to look at our own self-betrayals of when we compromise ourselves. Because in the future position, we have a choice. You can go on doing this thing of, oh, I'm not good enough, or that's not good enough, or blah, blah, blah. This is this belief system, and we're stuck in the cage of our own old belief structures, because Sagittarius is all about our beliefs. It's all about what we believe. It's about maybe your, like, even religion. Where is your religion keeping you small? Where is your belief structure keeping you small? Where is your belief structure about yourself and your artistry and your life keeping you in a cage, keeping you small? Or, so you can listen to the small mind, or you can listen to the inner voice. This one looks a lot prettier, I have to tell you. So we have to start going beyond the small mind and going deeper into the intuitive voice, to the intuitive message, to your inner guidance here, and being able to move and manipulate. Not manipulate's a weird word, but like maneuver and navigate your life in a different way, in an inner guidance way, because the soul doesn't judge your experience, by the way. All that judging and condemning that you do to yourself, that's the small mind. That's the ego. This is an ego upgrade to connect to this larger, this deeper one mind, right? Or this intuitive, loving, unconditional voice. In any situation, can you find an unconditional love and acceptance of yourself? and of your experience and of the decisions you made and the choices you made, and see the beauty in that. So it's Saturn's telling us to see the beauty right where we are, right in our own home, right in your own experience, and stop suffering just to suffer. This is the Saturn embrace card. Stop suffering just to suffer. Stop suffering because you look at somebody else and they have more than you, or they are farther on their career path than you, or they feel wiser to you, or they're prettier than you. That's suffering just to suffer. You're compromising yourself. That's unwanted suffering. And encouragement instead. Stop suffering, but encourage yourself, or find people who are very encouraging to help move you forward in your own story, right? So if you're getting caught in jealousy, I want to say this real quick. Jealousy and admiration are a very fine line. So if you find yourself jealous of somebody, switch that a bit and see how much you admire what they're doing instead of being jealous and catty, because there's some feminine cattiness happening right now. And so we got to switch that just a little bit. And if somebody's jealous of you, you could switch that in your mind too of, okay, imitation is the greatest form of flattery, or jealousy is just the dark side of admiration. There's something in me that makes them feel threatened. And you can play into that and be catty too, or you can find that compassion and go, you know what? There's something in me that they feel threatened by. Okay, I'm sorry, forgive me, thank you, I love you. But I'm still gonna be me. I'm me, I got me. So that's it. Okay, woo, sorry, long.
I love it. All right, so next we have the moon shifting into Virgo. So this moon into Virgo is also going to be bringing along the beginning of the sun squaring some of the cardinal planets, or the other cardinal signs. So we've been talking about it. This is ongoing, the tightening and release of the cardinal T-square energy. During this moon in Virgo is going to herald some of that. I feel like Nikki said, a big part of this T-square stuff, especially with the sun in Aries, is tightening up to help us get into who we are. So who are we? What is this moon in Virgo helping us? Well, the moon in Virgo is helping bring us healing. And I have the wounded child from the archetype energies. And I got to show you this because this is so funny. I have 2 slow down cards in my deck. So I pull 3 cards, and I leave them upside down till I get to this section. I had slow down in reverse, slow down upright, and then intensity. But I think this is really important and funny. And I pulled some more cards because I was like, I need a little bit more than this for this. All these slow downs. But this is you got to do your work. You've got to show up and do your work around your inner child and bring some healing to your inner wounded child with this moon in Virgo. You need to show up, which means slow down and get present. But don't stop. Dig in. Get into the home of you. Get into the foundation of you. This doesn't have to be an intense process. It doesn't have to be an overnight process, but you've got to tune into yourself. And I also have the creativity card in reverse. So the creativity thing's coming through quite a bit. And I pulled the guilt card as well. So, it's one of those things, and I do this sometimes. I'm totally guilty of this. When do you have guilt? Sitting on her head, making me laugh. Good, my inner child needed that. When I don't want to face things, I procrastinate. I avoid it. I will ostrich myself, and then I'll have the guilt about not facing this thing that I need to face. And a lot of times it does go back into that inner child stuff. And, it can't even be this thing. I have so much to do. I can't even do it. I'm going to get distracted. I'm going to clean my whole house. I'm going to do all these things because I don't want to face this thing that I need to face. Well, clearly there's some creative process that needs to come up. And I think the creative process, again, it's not necessarily painting with a paintbrush, getting into your art. This is, how are you creating your life? And because you're avoiding it, you're creating it with guilt, and you're not really being true to yourself. So this requires awareness. And so funny, all of these cards are all momentum cards. Slow down, don't slow down, intensity. We have awareness. This is the Chariot card. So we're moving forward. You have to recognize how much forward momentum we'll have just by you even noticing there are places of my inner child that's this wounded child. There's places within me that need compassion. The shadow attribute blames all dysfunctional relationships on your childhood wounds. Resist moving on through forgiveness. What Nikki was saying, the ho'oponopono, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. You know, bringing that into your child, just showing up for your child can do so much. The light attribute awakens compassion and desire to serve others. Opens to learning the path of forgiveness. Finding that forgiveness energy, recognizing the healing in forgiveness. There's such a great definition of it that has resonated with me and really shifted my personal resonance with forgiveness. And it's releasing the hope that it could be different. So many of us look back to these things and we're like, if only it was this, or if only it was that, and we're stuck in the if onlys. It would have been better. I would have been better. You can be better now. You can shift and create better now, but you're not going to create it from the place of if only. You're going to create it from the place that happened. That hurt. That sucked. You know, all those things that may come up, but that happened, and I can't change it. You know, and there's that prayer, Lord, give me the, I can never get this right, the serenity to accept what I can't change and the ability basically to change what I can. I don't know. Sorry. I don't
do it.
Yeah, do you know that?
I say it a lot.
Okay.
God, please grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Perfect.
Exactly. I love that one. I say it often because I go, Nikki, what's the can I change that or not? No, you can't. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. We can't change these things. We can't change this wounded child thing. However, your child is alive and well within you. And from this place, from the now, so much can shift. And to finish this off, I've got Bridget, the inner strength, the inner fire, your soul fire. All of this energy this week is like feeding into who are you? You are this inner soul fire. Can you get into this? The wisdom, move back into wholeness. Recognize you have the power. Recognize you have the power to shift out of this wounded place. This moon in Virgo can be very healing. As the sun is going to begin, it's going to be squaring Jupiter and it's going to be squaring Pluto. So our I am vibration with Aries is going to be coming, you know, up against these powerhouse energies. So you may feel those places where you have the resistance to who you are, or where you were, I don't want to say given resistance, but put resistance into place from this old wounding, and we have the ability to heal and move through this. The universe is always working out for you. I promise. It's always working for you. But are you going to resist it, or are you going to work with this energy? That's where the healing comes through. When you're like, okay, I'm willing to work with this. I'm not going to fight it.
Yeah. You know what? And God, our messages are so super aligned. So this is really important. When me and Mimi really get the same message, that means that the universe is going to tell you it in two different ways so you can really understand it. And so they're kind of drilling these lessons today, and it's okay. It is what it is. I love it when me and her align like this. So I have this, and I'm getting it from the unexpected visitors in reverse card. So I want to read to you a little bit about it, because this is where our powerlessness comes from. When we feel like we don't have control of our life, like when life throws you a curveball, and that's where the wounded child, because the wounded child didn't feel like they were in control. And we can still have our wounded child come up when things unexpected happen in our lives now. And so unpleasant news is only unpleasant when you resist accepting what is. Sometimes the thing most desired is kept away from you because it's not in your highest good. Sometimes there's a loss or disappointment due to a destiny that you don't understand yet. Change is something that might be forced upon you, like bad weather threatens a boat. Adapt to the shifting conditions, but think about how beautiful the sky will be after the storm goes. Accept what is, and more fulfilling path will be revealed to you. Remember that if you expect the unexpected, nothing will come in as a shock. And then this is not about going, oh, everything's gonna bad happen to me is gonna happen. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, just like what Mimi was saying, of letting go of the hope that it could have been any differently. And that when life throws you a curveball and something that you cannot, quote unquote, change, some things in our lives we had no control of. Some of it's contracted. Some of it just happens because it does, because there's a lesson to it. And there's something that you had to experience and learn to become who you are. And we can fall victim to that because we felt like we weren't ready. And this might happen in this moon in Virgo, or you have to look at those things that you didn't feel like you were ready for. Because that's where all of our suffering is. There was a transformation that we didn't feel like we were ready for. And so we stored it as pain, and we stored it as a betrayal, or we stored it as a failure. And when we store it as a failure, how did we identify with that failure? And how did we identify with that trauma? Because trauma, all trauma is the body being the body, the spirit, the mind, the emotions being overwhelmed. And the body couldn't process it. It was too much. So our body shut down and went into shock. And when our bodies go into shock, process doesn't happen. And we don't integrate the issues. So back in the day when we lived in tribal societies and we were still connected to plant medicines and different things, the first thing when somebody came back from war, or, something really traumatic happened to them, what happened is the shaman would take that person and they would give them the plant medicine like ayahuasca or peyote or whatever plant medicines that the shamans would use. So they could process that right immediately so it didn't get stored in the system and the body didn't carry it as trauma. We don't do that anymore. We're told to shove our emotions or get over it or whatever, or take antidepressants or numb it out or don't grieve. But there's a grieving process that needs to happen, and so we can integrate the lesson that life threw at us. And if we can find a little bit of courage in our life, if we can find a little bit of courage within ourselves and really begin to deal with the guilt that we are still holding on to that we could have done differently. This is giving me kind of survival's remorse. This is kind of giving me like somebody losing somebody and them taking on the energy or taking on that it's their fault that this happened. Right? So it's like my mom was in a really bad car accident 22 years ago. My grandmother died in the car accident. It's like if she held on to that was her fault, that my grandmother died in that car accident, even though it was a drunk driver who hit her head on. Where do we hold on to those things where we feel it's like our fault? Sometimes we are in the position of victim. We have to take the role as a victim. Right? So we are the victim of a situation of our life. But does that make you a victim? Do you have to identify with it for the rest of your life? You don't. You have to forgive and let it go. Because the victim likes to be, that's the wounded child, likes to be the victim of this and then feels like it has no control over its life. But you always have control on how you react and how you process it and how you treat yourself and how you treat others and how you love yourself through the hard times. When you signed up to come to this planet, you didn't come to utopia. You didn't come to utopia. You came to planet Earth. And planet Earth has harshnesses and it has densities. And you signed this contract to come and live this experience. And not everything's going to be rainbows and butterflies. But if you accept that those things happen, what happens is you can find the beauty of your experience. You can find you through the experience instead of making it suppress you. Find the innocence of every single beautiful thing that's happened to you. It's not your fault. We'll just say that. It's not your fault. But maybe, just maybe, you had that experience for a reason, and it just needs to be integrated. And it just needs to be accepted for what it is. Good, bad, ugly, and in between. Because it was all of it. Because that's life. Good, bad, ugly, and in between. That's life. Okay.
I have that song, That's Life, stuck in my head, but I don't know the rest of the words. I can just hear it, but
Yeah, me too. I don't know. Maybe I'll look up the words. But but yeah, it's amazing. Like when you were saying that, I was like, oh my God, totally. This is what I'm totally getting from this. And like just God, sometimes life sucks. It really does. Sometimes life is so beautiful, and sometimes the pain wakes us up, and the hardships wake us up. Nobody wants to go through a death of a love. Mimi's going through her 2nd-year anniversary of her dad dying. Nobody wants to lose a parent, but when we sign on for life, we also sign on for death. And so we go through those things, and her relationship with her dad changed. It didn't end, it changed. And that's the place. Those are those deep places that we can get to help us heal and integrate and understand the things that might not just be tangible.
absolutely, 100%. And it's okay. It's one of those things, there's so much in the spiritual community, like people can get stuck in the law of attraction, like, oh, I can't cry, and I don't want to feel, and I have to say it's okay that my dad died. And most days I'm at the place like, it's okay that he died. I enjoy our changed relationship. He gets me now. It's great. And then some days I'm sad, and I wish that we could have had that relationship here. And I cry, and I sulk around the house. And it's not about like, don't want to be like a dog and poop rolling in it when it comes to emotions. But like the law of attraction works. It works. But if you are not expressing that emotion, then it's stuck in you. And so you're going to attract more of those things. So it's like, this is what you've got to process. You've got to get the stuff out, and just allow the processing. Allow yourself to be an earthling and go through what earthlings go through, which is all the emotions, the whole spectrum of emotional experience. And it's all okay.
Allow yourself to grieve. Allow yourself to be pissed. Allow yourself the denial. Allow yourself all of it. There is a reason why we have 5 stages of grief, and it's totally cool to grieve. It's totally cool to grieve relationships that just fall apart. It's okay to grieve friendships that die. And it's okay to be a jealous asshole sometimes. It's okay to be all of those things, because we are human. And I see that. That's the dark side of the spiritual community. It's like, oh, this person died and I'm just enlightened by it. And it's like, we're still human. There's still both sides. And it's okay to be enlightened by it. If that's your genuine bliss out state and you see everything, that's great. But most of us aren't like there. And it can make us feel more judgment on ourselves that we are grieving, and we shove them down and shove the emotion down so deep. It's okay to feel. It's okay to feel.
Absolutely. And this is perfect for where we're going next, because we're going next to the moon in Libra. And I told you that it was on Saturday, but it's actually on Sunday. The moon is shifting into Libra Sunday. And so this is the thing, and we were talking about this beforehand, and I go into this about Libra often, about how Libra loves harmony, it loves beauty, it loves peace, and a lot of times Libra, because it likes it so much, will find it outside and prepare it outside at its own expense. And I have the addict card, and that's what I'm getting with this moon in Libra. Do not fall into that addictive pattern either way of needing that peace and harmony so much outside of yourself that you forsake yourself. But I'm also getting the other way around too. And this goes with the other thing that we have going. We have Mercury shifting retrograde on Sunday, and we'll be in the middle of like the sun in this T-square energy, and the moon in Libra is gonna again tighten up those T-square energies. There are the shit stirrers out there who are addicted to sharing the stit. It's just stirring the shit. And to recognize, if you are a provoker, or if you're somebody who's trying to find the peace and find your personal balance in between, in being true to yourself. Now it's really funny. I've got turning in, which is a 4 card. I've got participation, which is a 4 card. And I've got postponement, which is a 4 card. These 4 cards are these foundational energies. And so this turning in card is so interesting because if you look, like she's turning in, to me, it's like turning in, listening to herself, finding that harmony within herself. But if you look closer, there's all these ugly faces around. And all those ugly faces could be the shoulds. So when you're turning in, you may find yourself in the shoulds. You may find yourself in the mind. You may find yourself hearing all these things. My mom has always been the person like, create the harmony outside of yourself. It does not matter what kind of war and destruction is going in. Put on a happy smile and make everything okay. I'm literally the only family member that cried at my dad's funeral. And I was a bawling mess, probably because I was feeling everybody else's things. But like in the mind, it's like, oh, I gotta look okay. My mom told me to like find this harmonious thing, or, the teachers at my school wanted me to be perfect. It's time to get out of that. It's time to let that stuff go. It's time to release yourself from the addiction. From the addiction, there's a book by Marion
Williamson?
No. Marion Woodman, I believe her name is. Marion Woodman. And it's like the unravaged bride, the addiction to perfection. And that can be this energy of this Libra, this addiction to perfection. We're going to have Mercury going retrograde. We have this T-square stuff. We have Jupiter retrograde. That illusion, that holding on to perfection, it's time to let that go. It's just a mental thing. There is no such thing. So it's time to let that go. Get settled. Get balanced. Get harmonious within yourself. Let the rest of the world figure their stuff out. A lot of times we try to take this on because we're like, well, I've got this figured out. I know how to do this harmony thing. It's going to hell in a handbasket within here, but it looks all good and fine and dandy out there. Let that go. This moon in Libra is a really great time to let that go. Fall really deeply into yourself. And it's going to be interesting because Mercury retrograde causes mischief. So you may find the disharmony in communications. You may find the disharmony in your environment. And this is an opportunity. Okay, these things are going to hell in a handbasket. How am I taking care of myself in this moment? How am I finding this balance within myself in this moment? How am I finding the peace within myself in this moment? And recognize from that place, it will resonate outward. And from the Keepers of the Light, I have faith, humanity, and benevolence. And I'm going to read what it says. Stay calm and breathe. You're a divine being of love who has done so much good in the world. You may be going through personal transformation and feel like you're not going anywhere, but Archangel Faith is drawing close to guide you beyond these limitations that your ego has created for you. You may be trying to work out whom to trust. First, trust yourself. Find the peace, find the harmony, find the trust within yourself. When you do this and recognize that you are made of love, you will attract those and who reflect that love and can enjoy true friendships, loving relationships. You will find that harmony because you will have found it within yourself. Know that good is here to stay. Have faith in yourself. Have faith in what your personal peace, your personal balance, your personal harmony can do first for yourself and those for you around you, or those around you, for those around you. I'm in Mercury wording. And then for the rest of the world, because it does expand outwards. Your turn.
Well, okay. I am, by the way, I looked up the lyrics to that song and we're going to end it on that. So we're going to end our broadcast on that because I can't wait till you listen to the words of this song. Okay. So what I'm getting with this, so it's this T-square energy that's kind of coming together. We have the Saturn, or Saturday, we have Moon in Libra, and we have the Saturn retrograde happening, and we have Mercury retrograde happening. So I want to talk a little bit about some things because like I talked about before, that unexpected visitor thing, that something might come up for you that you don't understand yet, that thing, it might shake things up. Well, it looks like something is going to shake up, but they don't want you to go into fear about it. So this, like, you're hearing this message and you're like going to think the worst. Don't think the worst. It's not like that. Stay in your center as things kind of crumble around you, or like Mimi was talking about, there's some shit kickers or some crazy makers in your life. You've got to stay in your center. If the world's falling apart, be the oak tree. You know what I mean? Stay in your roots. Don't freak, because whatever is happening is here to, like, I'm getting this kind of cracking yourself out of an egg. I have the isolation card in reverse, and then I have this protecting treasure card. So this is kind of the similar energy to the miser. So something might be cracked open. Something might take you to your edge. Something might happen externally in your world to break you open. Like I said, this, you don't have to go to every scary thing that's ever going to happen to you in the entire world. But there is something that will thunderbolt and shake us up a little bit. So because we've been standing behind this gate, we didn't want to move forward. So sometimes when we don't want to move forward on our own, the universe gives us something to inspire us or kick our ass right through the damn gate. Really, to get us motivated, to get us going, to light a fire under our butts, to go to the next phase of our life. And this isn't something, I don't think it's something to be scared about. I pulled a lot of cards on this because I was like, what is this? This is you, it's like pushing you off the ledge so you can move to the next part of your life and become the next part of yourself. And it's not something that is really, it's part of a conditioned behavior. So it's cracking you out of something that's really old, like an old pattern or an old belief or an old tendency, like I can't take risks or whatever. So this is going to, I know when my mom got in the car accident, this is a dramatic experience of this though, right? So my mom was in an abusive relationship for it was over 12 years. I was 12 and she was in it before that. But she was in a relationship for over 15 years that was abusive, and we went through domestic violence. My mom got in this car accident with an addict. He was a drug addict and an alcohol abuser, like my father would go through. And we thought maybe that would shake my dad out of it and make him better, but it didn't. What it did is that year, that's when my mom left, because my mom realized that life is so damn short and that she lost her mom in an instant and your life can change. And from that moment on, she lived her life very, very differently. But it took that moment of drama and trauma to get her to a place of more harmony. She's a Libra, by the way. I have somebody in here. I hear them scooting around back there.
It's me, Mommy.
Hi, honey. Give me 1 second, okay, baby?
I'm not doing
Okay, honey. I heard those feet. To put her in more harmony to herself. So we got to look at those places where we're out of harmony, and the universe might shake us in that way to find more harmony, right? So life is so short. Life is so darn short. Do what you want to do. Put your life into harmony, because there is a completion here. There is a completion of an old self. There is a birthing, literal birthing of a new self. And maybe the universe is going to put you into labor. I hope not, because I'm not due for another. You stay in there. But to labor yourself and to birth yourself in a new way and put yourself in a new layer of harmony within yourself. The Lovers, so this is Libra, and this is This could be a relationship. And this also brings me back to me and my husband had to break up for, we were on and off for about 2 years before we got married. We had to break apart to find our harmony together. So if you go through something and you break up with somebody or something happens, it's like, tranquilo, tranquilo, relax, relax. You don't know what's happening. It might break up to get better, or you go through something to make it better. So don't be scared of the friction. Don't be scared of the falling apart, because in the falling apart, you might be being put right back together as a new part of yourself and a new identity of yourself. Even though that's so hard when you're going through the shit. Like, I know that's hard to hear. I know. And I know that a lot of you are going through a lot of that. So it is what it is.
It is what it is, for sure. So we finish off this week with Mercury shifting retrograde. Now, let's not get panties in a bunch. You know, a lot of people like to sensationalize Mercury retrograde or any retrograde. I want to just put this out there. Retrogrades do not necessarily mean that you are going through a breakup. Retrogrades do not mean that the world's coming to an end. They do mean that it's a call to go within. And sometimes, you know, these things do happen. Sometimes the endings do happen. Sometimes relationships do end. Sometimes they go through issues with communication with Mercury retrograde. Communication can become a thing. My encouragement always with Mercury retrograde is be really aware that this is going on. Be aware that your communication may not be as clear as you think it is, that it may be as clear as mud, that misunderstandings may come about. Be aware that you may misunderstand other people's intentions. Be aware that technology loves to play games during the retrograde, and it's a call to patience. And be aware, most of all, that it is a call to return all the re-energy, return, renew within. It's an inner process. It's an inner process of your thinking. And so as we return within, Mercury will be going retrograde in Taurus, the sign of our worth. It's going retrograde at 4 degrees. That's that revolution, evolution degree. So this is a revolution, a personal revolution of our worth. It's going retrograde back into Aries, I am energy, who we are, taking us back into who we are. And it's going to retrograde even back to meet up with Uranus energy. Again, there's that revolution energy. Uranus in Aries is helping us revolutionize our I am vibration. So have courage. Have strength within yourself to grow yourself through this process. If you find yourself focusing outside of yourself, like we've been talking about a lot tonight, you're focused the wrong way. Take this time to refocus within. Oh, it's so perfect. I have the dream in reverse. Do not be focused outside of yourself. This is not, it's not, you know, all of these retrogrades, Jupiter retrograde, Venus retrograde, Saturn retrograde, now Mercury retrograde, even though they're in these signs that can represent relationships, like Venus can represent the relationship stuff, Jupiter and Libra can represent it. It's not about the relationship. This is about you, yourself, and you, instead of me, myself, and I. You, yourself, and you. Really getting in touch with who you are. Breaking through this old conditioning that has kept you out of your own personal magic. The universe is like, it is time. Remember that place in Lion King with Rafiki, and he you know, that little lion, and he's like, he draws the thing and he's like, it is time. It is time to dive into you. And you know, relationships, they're a thing. They bring so much work on this planet, but this is like not the time to be focusing on them or worrying about them. Come into yourself. Release this conditioning. Remember who you are. Come into your magic. This is a beautiful time to connect to yourself. And I have from the archetype cards, advocate. And what I'm getting from advocate is be an advocate for yourself. Be an advocate for your life. It's not going to be these outside relationships that are going to make your life. It's going to be you making your life. And then those outside relationships will come in and enhance it. When you know your worth, you'll know that it doesn't matter who's in your life, that you can thrive on this planet as you are. So be an advocate for your own thriving through this time. And I've got from the Keepers of the Light, I have hope, love, and acceptance. Love is yours. Recognize your divine worth. No matter what the state of relationships in your life, recognize your divine worth. Choose loving thoughts towards yourself. This will make a difference. This will change the world. And this will give you great focus to retrograde through this Mercury retrograde experience with. Nicole?
Yeah, I have some really kind of cool cards for this one. Same thing, like you said, very, very similar. But they're kind of like they're going back to what I just said. And they want to make sure that you don't go in fear in that, because I know the human mind wants to go to like the worst possible scenario. And I went to extreme examples. And the reason why I went to extreme examples is because I want to show you on that. I mean, we learn sometimes in extreme ways. And the reason why I wanted to go into those, because I don't think that it's not going to be that painful kind of thing, but there is a completion of sort. And so, you know what, if you have to go into the fear of that, go into the fear of that. That alone is what you might have to go into, is that fear that you can't trust the experience. And then when it comes around and you see what it really is, you're like, oh my God, why do we do that? And I do that all the time. Like, oh my God, I went to the worst possible scenario. But at the end of the day, if it does happen, because they keep saying to a couple, it's like, well, some people are really going through some stuff right now. Like really, really, really are, like their world is going, it's not necessarily death, but they are going through dramatic relationship shifts. And that's okay too. So stay in your map. Stay in your map, right? Because I look too. Because we're taking on different roles. And that shattering experience, my shattering experience, was when I became a mother. I shattered my identity. And you didn't think that would be so life-shattering, but it was. It was identity shattering. When we lose weight, that's identity shattering. When we, all these different things, we have to shatter identities, and that's where it really is. But be really open to this experience. They're not saying to fear this at all. I have receptivity and wide open. You guys, this is not a time to fear this change. This is time to be open. They are not trying to make you vulnerable to shatter you and to beat you down. They're saying be open to what this is. So this Mercury retrograde is be open to this, because this is a really beautiful time to gain your maturity, gain who you are, and be part of the voice that you have to the world. You get to take your seat in the world this time, and to listen to your inner voice, not go into that fear, not going into that, but getting into peace, resting in that peace moment of, even if the chaos is happening in the world, you can rely on yourself to find the intuition that everything is okay. Being open to this, getting out of your ghost land and going into new opportunities, and getting this new vision. And I have the existence card in reverse as well. Be open to this birthing you open. I keep seeing this cracking of the egg. Are we scared in the womb here of what's going to happen after we come out of this really nice warm place and mom keeps me safe, right? And so when we come out of that, then we have all the different experiences of life, but that's life, right? So we're coming out of our cocoons, we're coming out of our shelter, we're coming out of the ghost land, we're coming out of our shells, we're the little chick, and Easter is in a week or two. It's we're the chicks coming out of our shells, so we actually get to embrace life. So this is not to be feared, not at all. This is to embrace the experiences that are coming up. And if we have a little fear, focus on that violet flame to release the densities of the fear, but also finding that warmth, that flame, that fire, that healing that needs to happen. This violet flame is such a beautiful thing because Saint Germain's around it, and Metatron, and Jesus. Be fearless in this. Look in the black and the purple, right? So it's be fearless, drop the densities, learn how to fly through all this this life stuff, because at the end of the day, this is a great opportunity to go within, to figure out who you are, and to learn and to really embrace what does come up, because you might think it's fear, but who knows? Sometimes, I mean, I came into a lot of money 10 years ago, and that broke me too. Because now I had to be responsible for something at 23. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, whoa, good things can break us open too, right? So it doesn't have to be a negative experience. What I'm saying is life is going to give you something to change you, and it's not to be feared. Embrace it, be receptive, because it might be the promotion you've wanted. It might be the new job. It might be your husband getting a new job, but then he has to take a new role and you have to take a new role. But it's going to change your identity. It's going to change your role. And that is what you have to embrace. You have to embrace the new role that it's coming. And it might come with good news, but it also is coming. It could be empty nest syndrome. It could be all these different things. You know what I mean? So it's like, you don't have to go in the fear of it. It's a change. It is a change. It's a change of role. I'm definitely getting that.
Awesome. So you want to finish with the lyrics, the song?
Let's do the lyrics. Oh my God, Mimi, you're going to laugh at these lyrics. Of course, this is the song that we pulled, right? Okay. That's life. That's what people say. You're riding high in April, shot down in May. But I know I'm going to change that tune when I'm back on top in June. Okay, you guys got to know. Yeah, this is crazy. Okay. I said that's life. As funny as it may seem, some people get their kicks stomping on a dream.
Oh.
But I don't let it get me down, because in this fine old world, it keeps spinning around. Okay. Oh my God. I was like, oh my God, this is our whole thing. I've been a puppet, a pauper, a pirate, a poet, a pawn, and a king. I've been up and down and over and out, and I know one thing. Each time I find myself flat on my face, I pick myself up and get back in the race. That's life, I'll tell you. I can't deny it. I thought of quitting, baby, but my heart just ain't gonna buy it. And if I didn't think it was worth one single try, I'd jump right on a big bird and then I'd fly. And then I've been a puppet, and that's all the identities, right? That's all the archetypes. I'm like, oh my God.
I love it.
That's life. That's life. And I can't deny it. Many times I thought of cutting out, but my heart won't buy it. But if there's nothing shaking, come here this July, I'm going to roll myself up in a big ball and die. Well, I know what's coming in July, that's for sure. June or July. So, but at the end of the day, that's exactly what we talked about. When I read those lyrics, I was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me.
Totally. That's so perfect. It's so perfect. I love when Spirit talks through a song.
Yeah, I want you guys we'll put that in the comments. We'll let it play in there, because to be honest with you, that is so funny. Like, we're on top in May, then we get shut down, or we're on top in April, we get shut down in May, then we're back on top in June. That's life. That's why you have to stay your steady course. Don't get out of harmony because something happens. You don't know. It's that maybe story, right? Like, oh, that happened. Maybe it's a bad thing, you know, and so you never know. You never know. So stay steady. Just let life be, because things can change so fast, and just trust life. Just trust the beauty of that crazy ride of life. I love it. Frank Sinatra, that's life.
He's a Sagittarius.
Oh, of course he is. And he's like, I'm coming in to help you with this retrograde.
So perfect. So perfect.
Yeah.
He also has I Did It My Way.
That's true. That's been like that. I've been getting that too. But that's also a really good song to listen to, because you have to do it your way. I mean, Donald Trump is Donald Trump, but he chose that for a reason, because I'll tell you what, he's a mirror for us, but he's doing it his way. Whether you like it or not, he's doing it his way. But why can't you do it your way? Instead of being victim to him doing it his way.
Yeah.
Do you. Do you. Because no one else is going to do it for you. Do you.
I think that's a great ending to end on. I don't have any sales. You can find everything at GaiaBlooming.com. Do you have anything?
No, I don't have any sales at the moment. I'm pregnant, so I'm just taking it as it comes. And it's beautiful how spirit flows. I have like 1 or 2 readings a day, and I'm like, oh, that's lovely. I don't, that's beautiful to me. So no sales, but yeah, that's it.
Do you?
You can always book a reading.
Yeah, book a reading. Find us daily to support you through the daily energies. And thank you all our live people. It's always nice to see you guys watching. Yay, love you. And we will see you hopefully next week. Namaste.
Namaste.